Welcome to Dr Joe Unplugged. This podcast contains general information and is not in any way medical advice. Jargon can be a real problem in health, and every so often I come across a term that I'm not actually familiar with either, and this is after, the best part of 40 years. Neuromuscular exercise. We typically think about aerobic exercise, resistance or weight exercise, and flexibility exercise. But there's another term which sort of overlaps a couple of these called neuromuscular exercise. And it turns out that it's very good for people with arthritis, and particularly hip arthritis. And I'll quote from this article, which will be down below. Neuromuscular exercise was as effective as resistance training for helping people with osteoarthritis of the hip improve functional ability and reduce pain, a cluster randomised trial showed. So the first question that I actually had is, what do they actually mean by the term neuromuscular exercise? Because ultimately all exercise is neuromuscular to some degree. Neuro as in nerves, muscles, as in muscular as in muscles. If you're going to move any part of the body, there has to be a conscious decision from the brain, sends down the pathway of the nerves to the muscles. Sounds pretty basic, but it's an important point. Anyway, components of neuromuscular training: balance and proprioception exercises. Again, more jargon. Proprioception is to do with balance and your understanding of your position in space. So, whereas, for example, my right arm in relation to my left arm. So, balance exercises enhance body awareness and control by challenging stability. Includes single leg balancing or standing on unstable surfaces, forcing the body to recruit muscles and activate neural pathways responsible for maintaining balance. Dynamic stability and agility training, movements that challenge stability in various planes of motion. Examples would be lateral lunges, single leg squats, again, all to do with promoting your core and balance. And the third group that they mentioned here, core and functional strength exercises of the abdomen, lower back and pelvis. So this could include, for example, Pilates, forms of yoga and Tai Chi. So it's a bit unfortunate in my opinion, but again, one can understand it, that this sort of jargon is used and one has to sort of delve a little bit to find out what they actually mean. Alrighty. What does it actually mean? It's telling us that balance exercise is good for arthritis of the hip, and I'd probably be pretty surprised if it's not good for arthritis of the low back, hips, ankles, and probably anywhere in the lower part of the body. Part of the reason for this is by strengthening the core and making it less likely that we may topple over or fall over or lose our balance is very important in falls prevention. Now, as people get older in life, the risk of falls can increase. And the two of the risk factors of that include osteoarthritis and, more critically, osteoporosis, which is a thinning of the bones. However, and this is really important, falls prevention is saying, well, it's not just about it's not just about the condition, because any of us potentially can fall over and break a bone, but making it less likely that we're going to fall. And it's less likely that we're going to fall if we have better balance. We don't really think about our balance when it comes to exercise. We pretty much take it for granted. In a similar way, though, we don't think about our vision until one day perhaps we think, I'm not seeing quite as clearly. Maybe I should get my vision tested and maybe I need glasses. And, hello, here I am wearing glasses. Same thing can happen with hearing. But balance is different. We don't really think about it in the same way. But like all functions of the body, it can deteriorate a little bit over time and need specific working on. So balance type exercise is probably going to be good for us at any age. So if you're in the gym, it's something to think about, and that can include using, for example, Bosun balls. It can be being on those, I don't know what they're called, those big sort of air-filled balls that you see in the gyms that you try to balance on. And yeah, it takes a bit of work. I can say that from personal experience. And things like one-legged squats or, standing on one leg. Now, if you haven't done this sort of exercise for a while, I think it'd be a very, very good idea not just to launch in without maybe taking some advice or doing it with help. Or if you're going to start doing exercise such as standing on one leg, do it near a wall or something that you can hang on to in case you're starting to lose your balance. But what I think is useful in all of this is that it's telling us that we, again, need to keep the body active And there are different ways of doing that. And it can be the aspects that we don't really think so much about and we do tend to take for granted that we then don't work on specifically or almost ignore. But we don't need to be ignoring it. We don't need to wait until it's too late. By incorporating some of these types of exercises for balance and posture into our routine, and this can be at any age, but certainly for people in an older age group and or with arthritis, is going to be a very useful thing. Thanks for listening to Dr. Joe Unplugged. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe, like and share. You can also follow it on all the socials. There'll be new content uploaded each week.